Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of the Two Saints Show. Coming up in today's show, we're just going to start with the intros today. We've got a special guest in with us this afternoon, Martin Van Tool.
We have.
Fellow Saints fan. Yep. Welcome, Martin.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
And obviously my co-host Mark Harper joins me in the studio again today.
Yes, well, again, what a week. You know, what a week. What a game on Saturday. But
absolutely.
We'll get on with that.
Yeah, we'll cover all that obviously today. We're going to have quite a packed show today. And coming up in the first half of the show today, we've got our review of Saints versus Huddersfield in the FA Cup. Southampton FC Fans Forum, which I was fortunate enough to be at. And Martin obviously has got a few views on that as well, which is good. Also, the FA Cup fourth round, Saints versus Tottenham. We're obviously aware now that Saints have drawn Tottenham at home. Yep. So yet another game against Tottenham. Can we make it through on the trot? We'll see. So we'll get to that later on. And we're going to kick the show off this afternoon. Good way of kicking it off. That's quite a good link, actually. Yeah. The first tune today that Martin's very kindly chosen for us is a bit of Simple Minds with Alive and Kicking. And we will get to that very shortly. We're having a few gremlins today, I'm afraid, everyone, so bear with me. And once we get to that tune, we'll kick that off with you today. So any thoughts, you two, ahead of today's show before we kick everything off while I'm just getting the track ready?
All I was going to say was, I mean, I'm looking forward to talking about topics that are coming up. Obviously, there's quite a lot to get through, but you know, obviously we weren't on our last week because the stuff at the radio station had sort of shut down.
Absolutely.
So unfortunately, we couldn't broadcast last week. So obviously, it's a week of catch up.
It is.
Well, for me, isn't it nice to be able to come here and be positive for it, you know, where we are in the league. Well, what's it, we're 12th, 11th, whatever it is?
Yeah, 12th, I believe.
Who would have thought that, say, before we went to the Aston Villa game?
Well, four wins from 40 points, which we didn't think we'd be saying that this time of the season, did we?
I think we would be saying, you know, we needed, over the last 10 games, we needed about 25 points in the way we were carrying on. You know, it's just been the transformation. It's been, It's been astonishing. Right,
welcome back, everyone. Back into the studio today now. So we're going to kick the show off today, and we're going to start with our review of Southampton versus Huddersfield. So we're just going to go around the three of us quickly and just get our thoughts on it. I'll start with our special guest today, Martin Van Tool. Welcome, Martin.
Off you go. Saints Huddersfield. Well, I mean, you know, after the Christmas we had, I mean, it was a question of the result was always more important than the performance. We were able to rest an awful lot of players after the points haul we'd had. We came through, no more injuries, and that stood us in a good stead for the game against Leicester.
Yep.
You know, well done.
Could agree with that. So, got the job done, didn't we, I thought? Me and Mark were both there. I didn't think it was a fantastic performance, to be fair. No, but we did get the job done. My only frustration was the fact that it seemed to take forever for Saints to move the ball around. Yeah. And Huddersfield just weren't getting out of their own half. So, job done. I thought it could have been a much bigger scoreline if we'd put a little bit more effort and impetus into it. Mark, your thought?
My thoughts were Huddersfield didn't want to be there. They're struggling with injuries at the minute, therefore, you know, they were struggling to put a side out. Yep. I think we put a side out that was just put out there to make sure that the job got done, and hence the job did get done. It was good to see that, you know, he did play two of the youngsters from the under-23s, and Will Smallbone and Jake Vokins, and obviously they scored both the goals. I think you got to give a special mention, and I know you're probably going to come on to it as well, but you got to give a special mention to James Ward-Prowse, because yet again, when other people were given the day off, he played, and you know, he was a major difference between the two sides.
If you remember, Mark, and I'll bring Martin in on this as well. If you remember, I actually spoke to you and said my concern with Ward-Prowse was he made him captain again. And obviously, last time he was captain, he didn't perform very well, did he?
We lost to Everton.
I thought in this game, he played the captain's role, and I thought he had a fantastic game, to be fair.
Well, especially when he went charging up the wing. You remember when he played it past his... And he
collected his own pass.
He collected his own pass. And I can't remember. I think he crossed or something.
He knocked it into Adams, didn't he? His left-hand corner of the box.
And, you know, you think to yourself... But, I mean, let's be honest with James Ward-Prowse. Over the last, I don't know, couple of months, say 8 weeks, all of a sudden he's got a very nasty streak in. And I'm thinking, you know, we were just talking about Jimmy Case. And you think, well, it won't be that bad. But, you know, I mean... He now puts a horror tackle in, which is what, you know... He's
added a little bit of steel to his game, hasn't he? And I think we'd all probably agree, Mark probably agree that as well, that he certainly needed it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
It's just an
without a
extra
doubt.
tool in the armoury, isn't it? As I say.
But I think the thing
certainly agree with
is, and I'm going to say this because, I'm never afraid to put my colours to the mast. But
That's how we like it, Mark.
I'm a James Ward-Prowse fan.
You and me both.
One of the issues I have is that when the team is doing badly, because he came through the academy, he's one of the first ones to get blamed for playing poorly.
Yeah,
and
can't
he,
argue
unlike other players in the team, he personally hasn't had a bad season. I don't think. I mean, the energy level in terms of the amount of running or work that he gets through in a game, I don't think that has changed.
Well, in fairness,
I think Martin's right when he says there's a bit more steel, and obviously that's come to the fore.
Well, in fairness to him as well, I mean, there's only one other player in the Premier League since the start of the season to now. There's only one other player in the Premier League who's covered more ground than Ward-Prowse. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And like Højbjerg as well. I mean, Højbjerg's had something like 207 interceptions. James Ward-Prowse's interceptions have got to be quite high now, because he's actually, one thing I've started doing a lot more of, I've noticed as well in the last few games, is Ward-Prowse has actually started to close the ball down a lot more as well.
Yeah,
and I think he's actually playing more.
I think we're doing that
I think he's also playing more in that role that he got used to, coming up through the academy and playing for England in the under-21s, etc.
But to be honest,
he's playing his more natural role.
But to be fair, I mean, we keep referring to one of the up-and-coming youngsters. He's, 25, 26? And the time really had come for him to step up.
I'd actually class him as one of the more. I'd actually class him as one of the more senior players now, even though he's only 25. And when me and Mark talk about it, we say senior players, but we don't necessarily. Just to clarify for everyone listening, we don't mean senior players necessarily age-wise, but players that have been at the club for a while, or
the thing is,
those that you go to in a game and you think those are the players you want to turn to in a game and say, lead by example, and he's one of them, isn't he?
But I think he's going to be unlucky as well, because, I mean, the way he's playing, I mean, England at the moment got a glut of midfielders. Yeah. But, I mean, you look at him and you think, well, I mean, he should be knocking on the door.
Oh, 100%.
But, 100%. I mean, Gareth Southgate, what's he going to do?
Well,
you can only pick 3 or 4 midfielders,
Well, the concern as well, I think always as a Saints fan, the concern always is as well, whenever our players get picked for England, it either results in a nasty injury and we lose that player for a while, or it results in them getting tapped up, doesn't it? Yeah. And I think everyone's concerned with Danny Ings is in such a great vein of form. The last thing you want is him going on England duty and picking up a knock, because that our season would fall apart, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. And me and Marcus said it, if it wasn't for Danny Ings, we'd probably have been in a fair bit of trouble, wouldn't we, to be fair? Because his form's been red hot.
Also to take from the game is, I think that even though I would still say he's a key player for us till the end of the season, it was a shame, given that we were playing lower league opposition, it was a shame that Shea Adams didn't get off the mark.
But to be fair, he had a glorious opportunity when Ward-Prowse put him in, and I thought he's going to bury this. He's just going to smash it with his left foot. And in the end, it was such a tame effort. He practically passed it to the goalkeeper. I don't know what he was doing.
But the thing is, as well, it's quite surreal to walk away from a game. And to be honest, it wasn't a very. It was
awful.
It was an awful game. Let's be honest about it. And nobody moaned.
No.
Everybody said, "Job done." No injuries, job done, and everybody was happy.
And I think, in fairness, what helped as well, I mean, the goals were class goals. I mean, Will Smallbone's volley, absolutely brilliant left-footed volley, took that brilliantly. And for me, Jake Vokins, I mean, it actually looks like it's deflected off the defender.
It has,
It's actually a far better shot than it looks initially, because you think it's deflected. What he's actually done is, he's played it off the ground, in off the crossbar. It's an absolutely brilliant strike.
But it did viciously as well.
100%. So I thought both goals were really good, and they were the only sort of bright points really, because the game was absolutely down.
More of the reflection for me was the fact that I think nerves got the better of the 2 debutants, definitely early doors. Will Smallbone, as we said, every time he got the ball, he was trying to flick it or
it was almost as though he was trying too hard to impress everyone, wasn't it?
But
when he
was definitely an
I mean, I agreed with you as well, because we said at half time, Mark actually said, I think Raf's had a little word with him, and I think he probably did, because he was a different player second half, definitely. But when he stopped trying to do all the clever stuff, he played far better.
He played better,
and I thought him and Vokins both acquitted themselves really well.
And the other thing, we were rewarded with a home tie as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because after the Pompey game, I mean, all of a sudden, everybody euphoria, and then we got rewarded with an away tie at Man City. I mean, everybody, oh God.
Personally, for me, it was good to see Kevin Dance on the pitch, because like I keep saying, of all the players this season, he's the one that I feel Ralph's thrown under the bus.
But I mean, the thing is, I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, Austrian Footballer of the Year, And for me, I'm kind of looking at Kevin Dancer, and I'm thinking back to Martin Caceres.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, we brought the guy in, quality player, Martin Caceres, to be fair, quality defender, brought him
He's
in.
not on the same wages.
No. But, brought him in for the reason of, we didn't have
yeah.
cover at centre-half, blah, blah, blah. We bring Dancer in, Austrian Player of the Year, somebody Ralph knows, doesn't play him.
Yeah.
And he comes in, he plays right back against Huddersfield, and to be fair, he got up and down the flank brilliantly. His crossing was superb, to be fair, and he had a really solid game.
To be honest,
and I'm sat there scratching my head going, I know it was only Huddersfield, and it was low league, and as I said to you, Mark, let's not get carried away, it was Huddersfield in the Cup, and quite a poor Huddersfield team. Bonuses were, the youngsters did well, but it's not the Premier League, it's not every week.
But the other
and also for Danso, it wasn't the Premier League, but if he can play that well in that kind of game, you're sitting there scratching your head going, well, that's an option at right back, if nothing else.
But the other argument you can have,
and you're scratching your head thinking, why didn't he play?
But we played all the deadwood, shall we say? And of all the players that don't normally play, you would have thought Danzo. When you look at him, you deserve another chance.
100%.
You know.
Yeah. It's a strange one as well because obviously he went off the pitch injured, so I don't know what the upshot of that was.
No, I mean he did take quite a whack at one point. To be fair, he did look as though he took quite a whack. So I'm not surprised he was limping off.
Can I make a point about Caceres as well? I mean, not so long afterwards, he plays in the semi-final in the World Cup for Uruguay
and played really well.
and played well.
He did play out of his skin. He had a brilliant game. Absolutely. I mean, we've had players, haven't we, over the years?
Is there any fallout from the actual game itself? Anybody saying much in terms of the articles?
Yeah,
I seen that Ralph was praising James Ward-Prowse's energy, and he was praising the team's mentality.
Yeah, I mean, Will Smallbone was just saying it felt unbelievable to make his debut. Obviously. Just said it was a really, really special moment for him. Opportunity to try and prove what he's done. He's worked really hard to try and do that. Hassan Hootle, Huddersfield manager said, away at a Premier League side, you've got to take the chances when they come. Fair play, Southampton. Yep. They have real athleticism at the top end of the pitch. We'll take confidence from today because obviously we had chances. We did have chances.
Did it have chances on the break?
Only because we were so poor at getting the ball out quick enough to stop it happening, to be fair. So, that was pretty much it on that one. But hang on, sorry. So that was basically what they said. Jake Vokins felt unbelievable to score in front of the fans. My first start for the club. Wanted to show what I could do tonight. I think the opportunity took the opportunity well with that goal. I think I stood up to the plate and showcased what I've got. I can't really disagree with him on that one. Yep.
That's
basically it. I think pretty much on that one.
There was nothing else from the report or anything like that. No.
There was. Will Smallbone.
Anything that was worth highlighting?
It was special. Vokins couldn't be happier, and Ralph Hassan Hootle. Bear with me. Ralph Hassan Hootle's challenge for Will Smallbone and Jake Vokins, basically.
Okay.
Where he's challenged him to improve even more on what they've already done.
Yeah. So he's looking for the challenge to get into the first team.
The quote from him was actually, Will and Jake are players who are always part of our team, should be the future of the club. Hopefully they make a good development. Will showed on the ball, he has really good moves and quality. It was a fine touch for the goal. Jake showed especially what I knew from him, some good moves. He wants them to use the experience as motivation to become Premier League players, which is fair enough, can't really argue with that. Will's one of the best players we have in the youth squad. Was out for a long time with a calf injury and he cramped a little bit, probably understandable to be fair.
Yeah.
So he might get fitter and stronger for when the workload's high. Football's more than playing with the ball, it's also fighting to get back. Yeah, I couldn't really argue that. But he'd not played 90 minutes for a long time. That's a problem with the younger lads, obviously, because when they're part of the sessions, they can't always give them games with the under-23s, which was one of the issues we raised about why do some of the players, fringe players, not playing the under-23s. Yeah. Shay Adams, good example. Yeah. You've got a guy who's short on confidence, needs goals. Why not play him in the under-23s?
Angus Gunn, Jan Valerie, the list goes on.
Well, the thing is, we've spoken about it before. At Bournemouth, they loan out a lot of players to teams like Weymouth FC, Paul Town FC, to toughen them up. Why don't we do that more?
And obviously with Jake Vokins, the issue with Jake Vokins, obviously Ralph was waxing lyrical about him at the start of the season. In pre-season, he's done really well. Everyone's getting excited. Me and Mark were like, brilliant.
Thought he was
won't have to worry about Matt Targett quite so much. Matt Targett's gone to Villa. Okay, that's all right. We've got Jake Vokins. He obviously then got injured, which made the whole Matt Targett thing seem a really silly move, didn't it? I certainly agree with what Ralph's saying there.
Well, that's not.
He's also saying it's up to us to work with him and make him better, and this is what we'll do.
It's not the first time that our transfer policies come back to bite us.
That's right.
And it'll happen again.
Oh, absolutely. And also, Ralph Ralph Hasenhüttl pretty much saying, which we all pretty much already knew, the fact that he said that James Ward-Prowse is an absolute machine, which I can't really argue with him on that one. He was a machine yet again against Huddersfield, and he has been for most of the season. Yeah. He didn't necessarily start in the greatest vein of form, but I think he's starting to rediscovered it. Yeah. Well, I think Ward-Prowse as well is like Jack Stevens. He's one of those players that if you give him a run in the team, he does get his form up, doesn't he? Yeah. And Jack Stevens is the same. When he plays a run of games, he gets a bit of consistency. And it can't be any coincidence we've got players who are consistent, but they're playing in a consistent formation in a settled side. Yeah. And I've looked back over the last few seasons, and we've always been at our best when we've had a settled team. So it can't be a coincidence, can it? Mark?
No, that's very true.
So, Hasenhüttl basically said of Ward-Prowse, he's a machine, always covering the most distance, never tired, has a fantastic mind, was a fantastic captain today, can always count on him, he's a really important player for us. Yeah, not really telling us anything we don't know, but it's nice to hear him coming out and obviously praising the players.
The praise always helps, mate, you know.
I mean, obviously, take nothing away from the fact that the Huddersfield game, 10 changes, still got the job done. Yeah. As we said, pretty dour performance, but it could have been a lot worse. At least we didn't lose at home time. We got drawn at home again, Martin, as you said. Yep. Up against Tottenham again. Can we do the treble over them? It'd be quite nice,
I hope so, because I can't say, but I don't like Tottenham.
The double, it wouldn't be a treble, would it?
I think the only concern for any Saints fan would be the fact that we are playing Tottenham next in the cup, and obviously they've got Son back, haven't they? Who I must admit, in his last game against Saints, I thought he had an awful game.
Well, they against Middlesbrough, they didn't look that impressive in the replay, did they? No, they struggled a bit.
Yep, absolutely.
But you know that can come back to bite me as well.
Well, it's the one thing we've learned over the years as Saints fans is the fact that things invariably come back and bite us in the backside, don't they, unfortunately?
Big time.
And that does happen quite a lot with alarming regularity.
Make the Two Saints Show your permanent fixture with Mark C and Mark H on Fiesta 95 FM every Thursday from 12 till 2. It's the two Marks, C and H, on the Two Saints Show, Fiesta 95 FM.
It certainly is the two Marks on the Two Saints Show on 95 FM, and we're joined by our special guest Martin Toole this afternoon.
Yes.
Welcome, Martin, again.
Yep.
Right, so getting into the next part of the show, the Southampton Football Club Fans Forum, which I attended, obviously. Martin knows about, Mark knows about, and we're all going to have a bit of a discussion over that. I've actually got a bit of a breakdown of what was discussed and obviously made a few notes myself over what basically went on that evening. But bear with me, I'm just going to bring that up. If you two wanted to start having a slight discussion about it between yourselves as to what you were expecting, what you sort of thought afterwards, and obviously while I'm finding my notes.
One of the biggest problems is you go along to these forums and, you know, it's like every club really. They turn around and say, we want to have these regular dialogues with the fan base, stroke supporter base.
Yep.
But I always feel that you come away from them really not knowing anything that you didn't know already.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that's one of the big things, because you go there thinking, I'm going to get an insight or a new insight because someone's going to tell me something that it's going to be a revelation to me, and I'm going to be able to take that and move forward with it as a supporter. You know, and the thing is you end up going to these things and to be honest with you, they're a bit of a letdown, because you don't actually you don't come away feeling any more positive than you were going into the room. So for me, I mean, I enjoy going to them. I mean, we always tend to go to the bigger event, which is in the Mike Shannon suite, but I always sit there and I think to myself, we're not actually finding out anything new.
Yep.
You know, you always go to them hoping that there's been a sea change at the club.
Yep.
Or they're going to tell you something that's majorly positive going forward. The truth of the matter is, you're not told anything that's particularly
I'll totally agree, Mark.
revelation.
And if
one of the things I want to say before you go on and talk about the evening, from my point of view, is that as far as the club's concerned, I just feel we're in a situation where we have people that are running the club, but to my mind, they don't seem to be responsible for any of the big decisions. The bigger decisions seem to be coming from China. I think the people that are running the day-to-day business, the Martin Siemens, the Toby Steels, people like that they're doing a reasonably good job. But I also sit and think to myself, there's nobody really at the top end. I know that people will say about Martin Glover, that there's really nobody at the top end that has any real experience.
Yep.
And I know some of them have been there for 4 and 5 years, but they don't really have any great experience of running the football club.
No, I'd agree with that.
But having said that, I do think in terms of the day-to-day management, they're doing a good job. But they don't make any of the big decisions at the football club.
Well, I agree with all you said, Mark. And just going through a breakdown of obviously the topics that were discussed, and then I'll bring Martin in on this. Obviously, we'll all get involved. So the topics that were discussed were falling out of love with the brand, leaders, VAR, Ralph's target for the season, January transfers, owners' intentions, Gasworks bar, community spirit. So quite a raft of things covered, but. My initial thoughts afterwards were, yeah, okay, they think they've been as open and honest as possible. After that, once I'd had time to mull it over, I kind of thought they didn't really answer anything. They didn't really tell us anything we didn't already know. Nothing's really changed since last time. They're saying that they took their eye off the ball, they've admitted that, but they've actually changed the way they're doing things now, and they've realised they've made a mistake and they're looking to change the way they do things. One thing for me that's definitely come out of it is there's still a lack of ambition at the club, and that's the one big thing that's come out of it for me. The fact that when they were asked about certain things, it just showed a lack of ambition for me, and it also showed that despite the fact they're saying that they've not lost sight of things completely, that they have lost sight of certain things, I think they're still a long way from where they need to. Okay. So yeah, Martin.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I don't want running commentary as to from day to day what they do. I couldn't care less. Yeah. But I think one of the biggest issues now is the ownership.
Yep.
Everybody seems to, we all have our own opinions and what have you, but do we know? I mean, I don't care what he does, what he gets up to in China. Yep. I don't care what he reads, but I just want to know, what are your intentions?
Yep.
But at the moment, like you say, is there ambition?
Yep.
At the moment, we've got ourselves into a run, a good run. Everybody's optimistic, and you know what? And it's not followed up every time.
Martin Semmens did actually speak about Mr. Gao. Yeah. And said that he speaks to him 3 times a week. That for me is not enough.
No.
3 times a week's nothing. The guy's in China. Yeah. That's not enough for me.
No.
He said that Mr. Gao hasn't indicated he wants to sell. He said, I haven't seen it in his eyes. Now, I don't know how you're going to see it in his eyes. You speak to him on the phone 3 times a week and he's in China. How you can see that in his eyes, I don't know. He said Mr. Gao wants the team to win every game. Well, my take on that was, and I turned around to my friend Tara sat next to me and said, well, he needs to spend some money then.
Yeah.
And he wants to do other things in Southampton and in China, and he's hoping the brand will enable him to do so there and in the UK. Now that tells me you're using the club for kudos. That's why you won't invest any money.
Yeah.
That for me is a complete lack of ambition, and that's a disgrace.
But the other thing,
and that's one of the reasons I don't really want Mr. Gao at my football club.
But the other thing, if you think about it, I mean, yes, he wants to further his business empire in England. Fine, via Southampton FC. But if Southampton FC falls out of the Premiership, all of a sudden your brand is going down the pan as well.
Well, also your investment.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's like it's not the first time we've got somewhere. I mean, Gordon Strachan, ambition. All of a sudden that went.
Yep.
Ronald Koeman, he got hounded out. And now we've got a good manager. You don't have to spend billions, but you've got to spend a bit of money, a level of investment, and then you get to a certain level, and then you can.
Right, and in fairness, Peter would go back as far as Pochettino and argue that was a lack of ambition there.
Well,
that resulted in him moving to Tottenham.
Yeah, he's another one.
I personally, as a supporter, I don't agree with, Mark saying that basically he wants to further his own ambitions in England or in the UK, because he has other business interests. I mean, from what I know, most of his business interests are in China, but I don't agree with Southampton Football Club being used as a vehicle for people to further their own ambitions.
Well, the interesting thing is,
it should be a separate entity. And he should be running it as a business, as a separate entity, the rest of what he's doing.
The thing is, a lot of people don't obviously a lot of people fail to remember with Mr. Gow as well that property development is one of the businesses areas he was involved in quite heavily and still is, I believe. And
True.
there is actually room. There have been talks of the fact that there are certain areas around Southampton where he'd look to develop. Now I believe one area is right near the stadium, down by the waterfront.
Yeah.
Now, can't be any coincidence that there's an area there that he was interested in developing, and he's invested in Southampton Football Club, which just happens to sit right on top of the area he wants to develop.
So what are you saying? The stadium is in the way?
Well, I don't know, but you've got
Well,
to
there
ask
you
the
are.
question, haven't you?
There you are. That's the fault. That's the obvious question to ask.
But for me, I mean, it's a little bit. He's a little bit. I think he's a little bit deluded in the fact he's saying, "Well, what are your ambitions for the team, Mr. Gow?" Well, I want them to win every game. Well, the greatest respect in the world to you, Mr. Gow. As good as we may be at the moment, if you don't invest the money,
Yeah.
we're not going to win every game.
No.
The chances are we're going to lose more than we win.
But
And I think a lot of us as fans
all I wanna
sick to
say
death
on-
of being in a relegation fight season after season.
Yeah.
This is
Well-
what, the fourth season now?
Yeah.
all I want to say is like that one that you're using about the ban up of property. That isn't anything new. I mean, that was
No.
something that was levelled
Yep.
when the Lieberhurst
Absolutely.
first came in.
Yep.
But-
because he was meant to be buying up large chunks of,
Yeah. I mean,
property.
for me as well, Mark, when the Libers came in, to be fair, they already had quite a big footing in Southampton, with the
Yeah,
docks
no,
and the cranes and all the other
I'm not
stuff.
talking about that.
So-
We know about the cranes.
Yeah,
we
what
know
I'm trying
about
to say
their
is,
other business
all I'm trying to
interests.
say is they already had taken care of the business part,
but Mark-
so they weren't looking at the club thinking, I want to use Southampton as a brand to grow my own business, because their business was already big enough.
Mark, you already.
Okay.
But Mark, the point that you were making was he wanted to do land grabs around the stadium. The Chinese man,
Well, it's
right?
not just a stadium, is
Right,
it?
Mr. Guy,
Yeah,
sorry,
yep.
Mr. Guy. But the thing is that was that I get fed up with it because people keep saying the same things every time somebody comes in to buy the football club.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
the thing is the Lieberhurst actually did buy land around
Yeah.
the football stadium.
Absolutely.
Right? Hence the fact, that there was talk about there going to be a hotel complex and
Yep.
all that there. But, I mean, I'm not really interested in that side of it. I'm more interested in what's going on in the
Absolutely.
pitch. That's what it always comes down
Absolutely.
to every Saturday. And
Yep.
like you said, if the two go hand in hand in the sense that, and it's not about the owner.
Yep.
Let's clear this up
Yep.
as well. It's not about the owner having to put his hand in his pocket because there's TV deals, two major TV deals when you're a Premier League club, right? We've gone through this in the show in terms of
Yep.
wages and
Yep.
everything else.
Well, that was
right?
one of the other things that came up, actually.
And all I would say is that money does not come from the owner.
No.
The money comes from the money that's generated by the football club. Hence,
Yep.
as I keep saying to you,
Yep.
they made £26.7 million last season.
Yep.
There's nothing to stop them investing that money. That money's all clear
But
profit.
the thing is as well, Mark, I mean, they've had this, it goes backwards and forwards, and this was talked about as well, etc., etc. Toby still came out and spoke about it as well. I mean, you and I both looked at the figures. I mean, you and I both know the Saints' wage bill was £50 million.
Yeah.
We also both know the TV package alone is £120 million. Okay.
Yeah. And
Now, we
that's
know what the
just-
wage bill is. We know what
just-
the TV money is. We also know Southampton are one of 14 clubs in the Premier League that could play to an empty stadium and still generate a profit.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why the fans are saying, where's the money gone?
Yeah.
Because there clearly is money in the club, and we're clearly not seeing it. And we're clearly not understanding where that money's going, because nobody's adequately explaining where it's going.
But can I raise?
Toby still came out and said the wage bill is blah, 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 blah.
Can I raise two issues? The first one is, I mean, everybody seems to think Marcus Levy this, Marcus Levy that. But, everybody seems to be deluded that he was going to put his hands in his pockets forever. He was going to pull the plug on it.
Yep.
I mean, you don't become a billionaire by throwing your money around. But the other thing, me living in Poole, we're spending the money. But in Bournemouth, Eddie Howe seems to be able to spend an awful lot more than we do.
Well, Bournemouth have actually fallen foul of fees for fair play rules.
fair
Now
enough.
we can see why.
But fair enough. But, I mean, they have this ambition. At the moment, they've fallen foul as well. Like same as Southampton have over the last couple of years, where you buy players, it's not worked out. Fine.
Yep.
But, at least, and us lot, and you know what, we sell players high and we buy low.
Yep.
Now, you can get away with it for so long. And, when we had that exodus, we got away with it. And that was not so much due to the board, that was due to Koeman.
Well, me
You
and
know,
Mark talked about this, and we actually think that, we had such success in the transfer markets because, to be fair, we were kind of on the tail end of Paul Mitchell departing Saints.
Yeah.
So whatever information we had regards scouting and recruiting players at that moment was off the tail end of what Paul Mitchell had done before he left.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's no coincidence that once Paul Mitchell had left, and once that pool of whatever resources had run out under Les Reed, everything fell apart.
Yeah, but
no coincidence.
The problem for me was that they dispensed with a manager's experience and, you know, footballing wise,
Yep.
recruiting players
Yep.
wise, because it was a recognised name in world football.
Yep.
And then we had a fella who, you know, because let's be honest, people around the football club started getting cocky about themselves.
Yep.
And basically what ended up happening was we had one overseer that thought that he could do a better job than
Yep.
the manager.
Yep.
Hence we had coaches then, we had a lot of coaches come in
Yep.
because behind the scenes, the man that was pulling all the strings
Yep.
believed that he could do a better job.
But
than
let's be
anybody
honest on
else.
it, it was a case of under Les Reed, no offence, Les is gone now, so I'm just going to say what I want actually. We've already put our disclaimer out, so if people have an issue with
Well-
what I'm saying, I do apologise in advance. But from my point of view, Les Reed, it was, let's give jobs for the boys, and let's give coaching jobs to my friends at the FA, or my friends that are involved with
I
England.
don't think it was that.
You know,
I don't know.
how many people did Les Reed
Mark,
recruit through his England contacts?
Mark, you're missing the point, mate. The issue that we had with Les was because Les felt that he could take on the recruitment role,
Yep.
right? And that was all down to Ronald Koeman at the
Yep.
end of the day. You know,
Yep.
Dusan, Tadic, Pella, Mane, they were all Koemans. You know, and I just want to go back slightly in regards to, you know, when we were talking about what had gone, you know, things that had gone wrong at the football club and everything else. I mean, all I would say is in terms of we've spent the money that was generated in 2014, right? And we've made money since then, obviously. But the thing is all the money has gone from the transfer revenues, right? So now it's about the club generating money for transfers, okay? So we've got to the point where there has to be investment in transfers, and that has to be coming from within the football club, right? It's not about other people putting their hands in their pockets.
Well, Martin's absolutely right in the fact
because that doesn't happen these days, right? So the thing is, you know, at the end of the day, they're turning over profits.
Yep.
Let's see some of the profits from all, you know, because we've been turning over profits for the last few years. It's not just the last year,
Absolutely right.
right?
Yep.
So, you know, let's, because now the well's dry, so they've got to look at other ways of investing money into the football club.
What I'm going to say next actually covers most of what you're talking about there. But what I am going to say is I actually agree with what Martin said in the fact that it was made very clear by Marcus that he wasn't going to fund the club indefinitely.
Yeah.
That he wanted the club to become self-sustaining, but obviously he was going to invest X amount to enable the club to be self-sustaining, and then if they followed the model he wanted, the club would be able to sustain itself, make a profit, invest a decent amount of money. That, for whatever reason, that part of it has now fallen by the wayside, hasn't it? The situation is still the same in the fact that we now have a new owner who's saying, I'm not going to invest, the club's going to be self-sustaining.
I'm only going to say this, and then I'm finished on the subject, and you and Martin can talk it out. But I just want to say one thing, okay? Things come in cycles, okay? Yeah. So we've had 5, nearly 6 years, right, where we haven't had to put our hands in our pockets because the money's been generated through transfer sales, okay? All that time, right, there's been money coming in from, because there's 2 major TV deals. It's not just £110 from...
No, that was just one example of
£110 million
one deal.
From Sky Sports. There's the World TV rights, which they reckon is worth another 110 million quid. right?
Yep.
All I'm saying is, so 5 years, 5 seasons, nobody's had to invest any money in the football club because it's been there through player sales.
But the thing is,
right? Now we're in a situation where that has dried up, the well's dried up, right? And these people have been making money for 5 years. So the thing is, Mark, and I'm going to say this, right? You can't go 5 years where you're making money.
Agree.
And then when the well goes dry, you can't then expect not to have to put some money
the thing is,
into
Mark,
the kitty for
what
transfers.
doesn't sit well with me is, right, all the money that's come into the club, what doesn't sit well with me is all the money that's come into the club, they're not sufficiently explaining where it's gone for me. Not good enough. Their explanations, absolute waffle.
Yeah.
Bluff and waffle is what it is. There's no actual, like, cold hard, this is where the money's gone, this is what it's gone on. They can't back up what they're saying. The figures don't match up, to be fair. We all know what money's going into that club. Where's it being invested? I'll tell you where it's being invested. £50 shirts. Gasworks Bar and Grill membership. Corporate, that's where it's all going. Yeah. Everybody that's a normal standard fan is sick to death of all this corporate nonsense, right? £50 for a shirt. Nobody wants to pay that. You've got season ticket holders that are feeling aggrieved that some match tickets are being reduced for other people to attend. Yeah, because the stadium's empty. Why has the stadium been empty? Because there's been no ambition. Yeah. There's been no investment. There's been a lack of quality players coming in. But it's all part of it's all part of the main.
You can charge premium prices.
But the point I'm making is
for games
it's all part.
If you're watching rubbish.
No, and I agree. But what I'm saying to you is they're charging premium prices for a premium product, and at the moment, Saints fans would point out there is no premium product at the moment. The team have started to perform better, and I agree with that. But everything is part of one big pie, and the big pie at the moment is it's all about money. It's all about generating money for the club. It's about the corporate. It's about the bringing money in. It's not about spending it on the playing staff, is it? It's not. It was discussed at the forum. Yeah, but £50 for a shirt. Yeah. Season ticket holders are annoyed because certain matches are cheaper for other people to attend because the club are trying to fill the stadium. Season ticket prices are too high. You can't buy tickets online for this, that, and whatever. Yeah. People have fallen out of love with the brand, and it's not a surprise really. But the only way you can get that back is to try and put that community feel back into it. That's been missing for ages. That's not going to happen, and you need to invest in the right areas. We're not investing in the right areas, and we haven't done for quite some time. Yeah, we've spent 5 years generating money from player sales. We've brought mediocre players, which cost a lot less than the players we sold. So again, where's the money going? Yeah. They still can't answer it.
But to be fair, I mean, I used to have my season ticket in the middle of the Kingland, and it was nearly £800. And last season, I thought, no, I'm not paying. I refuse to pay that sort of money for the product I'm watching. And I thought I'll get a membership. But then they come up with this £3.99 the cheap seats in Block 13. I thought I'll go and sit there. £21 a game. But for the Tottenham game, apparently, me with £21, but the people paid 50. And I'm thinking, what? And you could also argue, I mean, when's the last time I bought a shirt? Well, I can't remember. I just don't buy shirts. I don't buy merchandise anymore. I just don't want to know.
There was quite a telling response from Toby Steele in regards to what was actually said at the forum. And he was actually asked about the season ticket prices and prices of seats for certain games. Somebody raised the fact that he's a season ticket holder. He's a bit annoyed that certain games cost less for other people. Feels like he's been a bit cheated, etc. Toby's response was actually, as a club, we don't want to upset any one of our fans. However, it isn't possible to please everyone, but we do our best.
Well, to upset them.
I think no. I'm sorry.
That's just a nothing. That's a nothing comment.
I'm sorry.
It's a nothing statement.
Hang on, Mark. You've had your go.
I haven't finished yet, Mark. That's a nothing statement for me.
You've had a go, mate.
There's nothing in that statement.
Hang on. I'm going to back Toby Steele up on that. I am, because listen for a second, right? I don't care if you're a season ticket holder or not, right? You make that commitment. Based on the fact that you want to make that commitment at the start of the season, okay? If the club then decide that they want the reduced prices to let people in, I haven't got an issue with it if they're not selling the seats.
I agree with that.
I would sooner have a full stadium. But this idea that if you're a season ticket holder, it gives you some entitlement, forget about it.
I agree with you.
And this is coming from a season ticket holder, right? I would, because I already know, right, that if I decide to take out the season ticket, I'm making that commitment, right? You've decided that you're prepared to pay the price that you're comfortable with to go and watch your team every other Saturday.
But don't forget, as a season ticket, we've already been snared. We're in.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I totally agree. But I mean, I think a bigger issue is, you've got to go back to the Premiership itself. I mean, don't forget Mr. Gow. I mean, the fit and proper test, he failed.
There's no such a thing. It's not called the fit and
whatever
proper
it's
test
called,
anymore. But yeah.
You know
Right,
what I mean? You know what I mean? Look at Pompey, a couple of, say, I don't know, 6, 7, 8. When they had 5 owners, a bunch of charlatans between them, they had a penny to rub together, you know.
Well, I'm just going to have a quick run through of, obviously, some of the remarks that were made, comments that were made from Ralph and others involved in the forum and what's, because obviously we could talk about this for the next 6 weeks and probably still end up talking about the same thing, couldn't we? So we'll talk through some of the stuff that's covered and we'll get some views on that before we move on from there. So Ralph said, regards to the January transfer window, was asked about it and basically said, we definitely want a left back. So he was kind of nailing his colours to the mask, and part of me was thinking this might be really a bad idea because everyone's going to know what we're after now, and they're going to hoik the prices up. We definitely want a left back and possibly a right back, depending on Jan Valerie's fitness. Maybe others if the right opportunity comes along. We need players who will improve us when they come in. Vokins is not ready for the Premier League just yet. Martin Semmens basically said him and Ralph were actually having a chat in the corridor on the way down to the forum about opportunities in the window, and saying certain things they could do at the moment, they could do, but it might cause us an issue long term. Right. It was a little bit of a strange one. Ralph was asked what his target was at the start of the season. He basically said top half of the Premier League. He was asked about leaders. He said he believes that leaders lead by example, not by talking about it. So he's referring to people like Danny Ings, who leads by example on the pitch, the way Ward-Prowse plays, those sort of players. He basically says they're leaders in the fact that they lead by example. Danny Ings is the first one you look at when he plays, starts the defending from the front, closing the ball down, etc. So from that point of view, I kind of get where he's coming from. I'd certainly agree that leaders do lead by example, and for Ralph, it's more important that you have somebody who's doing it by example rather than talking about it. Because he said, no good talking about it if you're not doing it. And I think a lot of Saints fans would argue it's no good the players talking about all the stuff they were talking about when they weren't before you. Coming up in the second half of the show today, we've got our review of Leicester City versus Saints. Saints' latest transfer news and gossip. Right, so we're just going to wrap up. We're just going to go through, just trawl through quickly, just wrap up the fans forum. So I'll just read through quickly what I put down. If there's any thoughts you two have on that, we'll go from there. So basically, we've covered what Ralph said about wanting to finish the top half of the season, etc. The club were asked about appointing a recruitment specialist, which is something they said they wanted to do. Martin Semmens basically answered and said they're not looking to do that at this moment in time, but if the opportunity arises, an ideal candidate comes up, they'll appoint one. Can't say I'm surprised at that. I mean, he did try and point out that they feel they're adequately covered by the fact they brought Martin Glover in earlier from Everton, I think it was. So they seem to think they're covered on that one. I think that just shows lack of ambition myself. But anyway, team's performances. Ralph was asked what changed, and he basically said they went back to the fundamentals, started playing players in their natural positions, and they're playing in a formation the players can work in and the players enjoy. So they're obviously responding to that. Ralph was asked, are you happy and will you stay? He said, if you'd asked me that 3 months ago, the answer may have been different, which obviously was quite a tongue-in-cheek remark, which everyone obviously laughed at. But he basically did say, I'm happy where I am and I'm not going anywhere. And he has obviously come out since then and said, I'd want to stay a long time. James Ward-Prowse was asked about VAR. He said, I think it takes something out of the game. Celebrations are muted as you're not sure whether the goal will stand, so I'm not sure it's great. Ralph said, I actually like VAR as it's better than when we had it in Germany. I think it takes longer to make a decision on VAR in England, so I disagree. I think VAR is good, especially for the teams it helps. Which I couldn't disagree on, really. We've obviously covered what Martin Semmens has said. That's pretty much it. Any thoughts on any of that, you two, before we move on to what we're doing next?
Well, the one thing I will say about Ralph is, he looks a bit more relaxed, because after that little hammering we had, when we lost to a certain team that night, I mean, he looked apoplectic. He just looked, and so we've spoken about it, Mark, myself. Certain events fall at the right time. Yep. And I think that international break came at the right time. Yep. Where he could clear his head and get back to basics. And ever since, I
mean, he was on very good form, actually, to be fair. He was asked, why things had changed. He alluded to the fact he'd not shaven for a while, which obviously got a bit of laughter. And he was just basically asked what changed. Yeah. And he basically said they've just taken it back, stripped it back.
Long.
Yeah.
Made the beard grow long.
Yeah. But it was quite amusing. It's the first time I'd ever had Ralph swear. He actually swore at the forum, but it was in relation to the way the team had been playing previously in the season when they went behind. There was a couple of words he said about what the team's reaction normally was when we went to goal behind, which I can't repeat on air. But if you watch it back on the forum and it's on there, it's quite amusing when he says it. So anyway, moving on from there, FA Cup tickets.
Yep.
So FA Cup ticket prices,
I
Mark.
just want to, on this subject, before you reel off the prices, I just want to say, on this show, by and large, we have grievances, right? So I'm gonna praise the club on this one, because it would have been very easy for them to nudge, the ticket prices up by a few quid.
Yeah.
Maybe even a fiver, given that we were playing Huddersfield in the last round and Huddersfield in the league below, and it was £10 then, and it's £10 now. We're playing at Tottenham, in the Premier League. So my advice to all the listeners out there is, first of all, I've got to say well done, Southampton Football Club, and to any listeners out there, you're thinking about bringing your kids for the first time, bring them to this fixture,
And also, Southampton Football Club, take the Huddersfield game into account. 21,000, open the chapel stand, you would have filled it.
Yeah.
Open the chapel stand, open all the stands for the next round.
And they will fill for this fixture.
Seriously, Southampton Football Club, if you're listening, take on board what Mark said, but also open the other stand up. Get every stand open. But let's really get an atmosphere going at a cup game.
But the other thing you could argue as well is, when we were kids, FA Cup final day, you sit there all day long, didn't you, from say 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock. But now it's been so devalued as well. The Snarling one, Mourinho, and Hasenhüttl, what sort of teams are they going to play? And for us, it all depends on what our next results are.
Well, for me personally, I want to see if Jose can run down the touchline and try and look at our tactics again.
Who knows, Martin? But the thing is like, my advice would be, it's a tenner.
Oh yeah.
If you've got kids, I think it's a quid or a five or something like that. The pricing's right. Let's fill the stadium.
Yeah.
Let's show that when the pricing policy's right, we can actually fill the stadium.
Yeah.
And beyond that,
And to be fair, the club have said on many occasions, as we all know, we're not going to expand the stadium because we can't fill it. Drop your ticket prices a little bit and you'll fill that stadium, trust me. Mark's right. You will fill that stadium. The fan base is there. We proved it. JPT final, 44,000. We've proved it. The fan base is there.
Yeah, well, maybe. But the thing is as well, you've got out of product as well.
Yeah.
What we've been seeing up until, say, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Jesus, for me, I living in Poole, it was a chore to come up and thinking, what am I going to see now? But a tenner for a Southampton Tottenham, you can't grumble. As soon as I got the ticket, as soon as I realised you could get the ticket on a Wednesday, say 9 o'clock, and I got mine about 9:15.
Yeah.
Prices, Mark.
So obviously, I was just looking at that just now, Mark, actually, because as you said, so the prices basically are, season ticket holders can obviously take advantage of special reduced pricing for tickets, £10 for adults, £10 for over 65s and 18 to 25s, and £5 for under 18s. From 9am Friday morning, official members will be able to buy their tickets ahead of general sale starting at 3 o'clock. Prices from Friday, £20 for adults, £15 for over 65s and 18 to 25s, and £10 for under 18s. Prices will increase on the day of the game. So my advice would be, if you can get them in at the £10, get them at the £10. Get in there as quickly as you can and get them. And if nothing else, just get yourself along to the cup game, because I've actually found the best games for me I've seen at St Mary's are either evening games under floodlights, European games that we've seen there, we were lucky enough to see, and cup games.
That's true.
Always generate the best atmosphere. Even right back to the JPT at St Mary's. I went to all those games at St Mary's. Fantastic. Absolutely love it. So if you want to take your kids to a game, that is the ideal games to take them to, cup games. My first ever game at the Dow was a friendly, but one of my best memories from the Dow was a European game that my dad took me to. And under floodlights, absolutely fantastic. So take advantage of the pricing, because they don't do this very often. No. Southampton Football Club, pay attention to what you're doing with the pricing, because it's working. Yeah. There's a lesson to be learned from there. Yeah. Never mind all the corporate stuff, all the money, this, that, and whatever. You want to get your fans back on side. You're doing it at the moment, so keep that up, because it'd be a shame if you drop the ball on this one. Right, moving on from there, we've obviously been running our centre half poll for quite a while now for our best ever Saints team, and we've actually got the results in from the poll, Mark. So the winners for that poll, we've already got a team so far that consists of a goalkeeper in Anthony Amy, left back of Mark Dennis, and a right back of Ivan Golak. Yep. I can now reveal the winners for the two Saints centre-half poll. Not surprisingly, top man, Virgil van Dijk, came out with the most votes, despite the fact he upset a lot of fans. He won the poll outright by 44. So 44 votes. And number 2, not really surprised, Michael Killer Svensson with 37.
Yeah, he get in the margin.
Fantastic centre-half pairing, those two, I think, would have been if they played together. So I don't really have an issue with that. That's probably where my vote would have gone. The only other player I would have lent heavily towards was Mark Wright, having seen him obviously when he played for us. So for me, it would have been Van Dijk and Wright if it hadn't been Van Dijk and Svensson. Van Dijk and Svensson for me every day.
Yeah.
And for me, it would have been Svensson and Chris Nicholl. But we live in modern times, and
well, I'm a bit older than you two. I go as far to say Jim Steele and Mel Blythe.
Well, there you go.
Well, I was a little surprised actually. I did say to Mark during the poll, I was a little surprised that Mel Blythe, FA Cup winner, got 1 vote.
You'll find
staggered
the older players that we had in the poll, Dave Walker as well. You know, they got less votes.
So obviously, thank you to
more modern players.
Obviously, thank you to everyone on Facebook, Twitter, and the Saints Archive that got involved on our vote. Obviously, you guys on the Saints Archive will be sending more polls out for you guys. You get heavily involved in it. Hassan and Adil, a couple of friends, me and Mark know. Martin, I think, probably knows as well. You've both got involved. Thank you very much. And all the other people we're friends with and we go to football with and watch football with, you've all got involved. We really appreciate that. These polls and this show wouldn't work without your input, so thank you very much.
Can I just say, it'll only take us a minute, you know, Jim Steele and Mel Blythe. Jim Steele used to kick you up in the air and Mel Blythe used to kick you back coming down.
Well, I remember overhearing a conversation that Jim Steele had with one of the people at the SDSA Open Day a while ago, where he was asked about David Beckham and he laughed and went, he wouldn't last 5 minutes with me. He said, I'd kick him up in the air all day long, which I thought was brilliant. So good on you, Jim. Always entertaining listening to you talk about stuff like that. Always makes me chuckle. That was a really good conversation to overhear there. So moving on from there, Mark, we are now on to our review of Leicester versus Saints.
Yeah, we are.
He looks quite relieved we finally got there.
We got there. Took a while. Right,
God.
Leicester versus Saints. Well, all I would say from my point of view was you knew what was coming when, as a supporter, you're sat in the stadium about, a half an hour before kick-off, and you got the scoreboard, which obviously is a screen as well, and it's showing the 9-0. You've got the players warming up at the side. You know, they're probably not looking at... I'm going to suggest that they're not looking at the scoreboard or screen or whatever in the stadium. But obviously, then we were told that, you know, Ralph decided that he was going to show the video of the 9 goals in the dressing room. And even though he said it wasn't a revenge mission and it wasn't this and it wasn't that, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Right, why would you do that? But
I don't care what anyone says, Mark. That's motivation for any player seeing that.
Even without that, right? I mean, it's a little bit like I came out of the stadium when we played them at St Mary's, and I said, if I don't do another away game this season, I said, I'm definitely going to Leicester, because those players know that they owe it to, not even just to the supporters, but they owe it to themselves as professional footballers.
You would say professional pride would be like, do you know what? I'm not happy with that. I've let myself down. Yeah. I've let my teammates down. I've let the fans down. Professional pride surely has to take over at some point. Yeah. You have to say that's not good enough. So anyway, forget all the money and everything else. At some point, there's a reality in there where you go, that's not good enough.
Anyway, we'll come on to what you have to say. Thank you very much. But all I'll say is that, you know, that was my feeling coming out of the stadium, and I said, if that's the only game I go to away from home this season, that's the one I'm going to turn up to, because I just felt to myself, you know, as I say, professional pride, everything else, they'll want to give a performance at Leicester. And, you know, thankfully, I would say in terms of an attacking intent, we showed much more attacking intent. There was loads more shots on goal from us than Leicester, the home side. We're talking about a side that was second in the table. Second in the table. You know, and they're not too far off City this season. You know, I think for me everybody's miles behind Liverpool, but you know, when you take it into that context, and you can be that dominant.
Yep.
I mean, I know that we won 2-0 at Chelsea and it was a very controlled performance.
Yep.
But I would suggest, given the amount of opportunities we had, what we created.
Well, Mark, I can actually back up what you're saying with the stats because I've just got them in front of me now.
Bullied in the midfield, pressing the ball. I mean, they were shocked by pressing the ball high up the pitch.
Mark,
I was relieved as well because even though, you know, I'm not English, right? But one thing I would say is right, if Ben Chilwell is the English left back, all I'd say is the England national team are in dire straits because he is shocking. He's a shocking footballer.
Yeah, and I think you and I both know there's a certain left back at Southampton who's in better form than Chilwell at the moment. He's not even getting a look in.
Yeah.
So I could actually back up what you're saying though, Mark, because I've got the stats in front of me from the match. Leicester had 58% possession and Saints had 42. So we had less possession, but Saints had 16 shots, 10 on target, as opposed to Leicester's 5 shots and 5 on target.
Yeah.
So that bears out exactly what you said. Far more dominant, much better performance from us. And as a team, just fantastic performance, wasn't it?
Yeah,
as a team.
it was.
As you said, performance of the season for me.
Ralph called it the performance of the season, and I'd go along with that. You know, I was really impressed with the Chelsea performance, but I do think in terms of attacking intent, because, you know, if Danny Ings had have brought his shooting, but it sounds like a criticism. It's not, right? But if he had his shooting boots on, especially the early doors chances he had, he would have had a hat trick.
Well, I think to be fair, the 2 chances he hit at the bar, that's just bad luck, isn't it? It wasn't through a lack of effort. I mean, the second one, if anything, he's hit it too well. It's an absolute stonker. I've never seen a shot hit so great. I mean, I thought that's in. Absolute cracking.
The only thing I would say is he had a chance before the winner.
Yeah.
But Nathan Redmond actually played it a little bit behind him. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I must admit, the one that came to him on his right foot that he tried to sort of curl around Schmeichel, that Schmeichel got his hand to. Take nothing away from Kasper, great save, but I think he had to dig it out a little bit, to be fair, which made it more difficult, made it easier to save, but he still had to save it. But for me, Ralph said, I think it was a West Ham game, he thought we were outrageous for the last 20 minutes. I would argue for the whole game against Leicester we were outrageous because attacking-wise we were phenomenal. And Stuart Armstrong, for me, Mark, totally agree with you. When he starts games, the man is an absolute force. He definitely gives something to the team. And I actually said to Mark, I was trying to work out who Stuart Armstrong came in for, and I actually think he's a long-term replacement for Stephen Davis. I was trying to work out who they brought him in as a replacement for, and I think it's probably Steve Davis they brought him in to replace.
We've been saying this for weeks when he has played. The thing is you get the best out of Stuart Armstrong when he starts games because he's up the speed of the game straight away. What Ralph has done previously in the introduction stakes, that's not his game. You know, to get the best out of him, you start him, and he is the bit of an unsung hero for me because the thing is if you watch him, he does bring a different dimension. When he starts games, he brings a different dimension to the team.
Here's an interesting one for you. We'll know how well Danny Ings has done. 40% of his goals in the Premier League have been scored this season. Can you tell me, Mark, or do you happen to know, Martin might know, can you tell me the highest scoring Saints player since since 2013-14 with 15 goals? Can you tell me the goal scorer that was the highest goal scorer other than Danny Ings for Saints?
In
2013-14 with 15 goals.
13-14.
Yep, 2013-14 he got 15 goals.
Was it Lambert?
No.
Cool.
Adam Lallana.
It was actually Jay Rodriguez.
There you go.
2013-14.
No, would be.
Rodriguez got 15 goals. Danny Ings is currently on 14. So Jay Rodriguez was the last highest scoring Saints player.
Got injured at Man City, and obviously for me he was on the plane going to Brazil, and obviously Ricky Lambert took his place.
It's interesting that it was Jay Rodriguez, given that he then suffered that injury. Danny Ings is in really good form. Well, so let's hope lightning doesn't strike twice, because that would be a nightmare, wouldn't it? So we're hoping it doesn't. And I wish Danny all is great success.
Well, on the back of that, of course, you know, and you know how cynical I am about old professionals that are telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing. But Ian Wright has been calling for Danny Ings to get a call up.
Well,
and you
it
know
happened.
my feelings on this.
Yep.
I would rather, not that I don't want to see the national team do well,
Yep.
you know, as an Irishman I do, because I reside in England,
Yep.
but I really don't want them to get the call
But I've
up
got to be honest,
because of
Mark, just-
the way that the England squad
No, I
is.
get that.
Is that
I mean, I'm
they're
looking at the England squad at the moment, and I've got to be honest, right? I'm just throwing this out there, given the injuries to other strikers and key strikers and
He's
that.
a shoe-in, isn't he?
I hate to tell you this, the Euros are coming up,
He's a
right? And I'll
shoo-in.
make a very bold prediction. I wouldn't be surprised to see an England forward line of Ings and Vardy at the
no.
Euros.
Well,
I don't
no,
think that's
but-
impossible to see. I don't-
Vardy's still
you
ruling
never know.
them. Don't forget, he's retired, mate.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if
And-
he changed his mind. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, no,
Well-
there is a
well, the
possibility.
And the argument would then be, you've got the two informed strikers in England, and how often can we say that England actually pick informed players?
Anyway,
Doesn't happen
this
very
is
often,
the Two
does it?
Saints show.
But yeah, moving on.
Well, I think the only way Vardy's going to play for England if Colleen and Rebecca make up.
So obviously, getting back to the game, Saints have now claimed 3 away Premier League victories in a row. They're obviously 6 unbeaten now, but they go into their next game with the possibility of going 7 unbeaten. Last time they did that was a very long time ago, obviously. Leicester have lost consecutive home Premier League games for the first time under Brendan Rodgers. So well done, Saints. Another nail in someone else's coffin. It's been a season for us getting managers sacked. It's now been a season for breaking records in other ways. We started the season breaking records for the wrong reasons. Now we're breaking records for the right reasons, which is great.
I've got to say though, I'm gonna say this, and it isn't an attempt to take a gloss off what was an excellent performance and a great victory.
Yeah.
But going into the game, I quietly fancied our chances of getting a point because the thing is their previous 2 home games were both against relegation threatened teams in Norwich and Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And they both came away with a point from Leicester.
And,
Yeah.
and don't forget that Aston Villa game, you know, that cup game midweek. That
Yeah.
took the energy out of them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
at it. To be fair,
Yeah.
they did have a pretty horrendous schedule because they actually played 9 matches between the 14th of December and the match with Saints.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And I'm hoping
a lot
Wolves-
of people say, oh, you know,
And it
players
does-
are professional.
it does
but
have a burn.
it does
It
take
does
its
have a
toll.
burn.
It does take
Yeah,
its toll.
And
does
I'm
have a
hoping
burn.
Wolves suffer the same on Saturday.
Well, to be fair, they looked pretty shattered, didn't they,
Yeah.
against Man U?
But the-
Traore looks like he's injured. That's a massive plus for Saints.
But going back to the Leicester game, I thought if you walk away and if you ask the Leicester the fans, who was your man of the match, and I think unanimously they'll say it's Michael.
Yeah.
He had, but the thing is, you know, whatever happened in that game, you could not get away from that
No.
dreadful Friday night
Yeah.
in October. There was no way to get away from it. I mean, Sky Sports, everybody
Well-
on the ball, and you
Yeah.
know what? And the
Well,
way
let's not forget as well. I mean, I watched the highlights back, and when you watch that first Leicester goal go in, it's so poor defensively.
I know.
You're thinking, oh, here we go again. You know, we're behind. We come back from behind, and Ralph Hasenhüttl alluded to it and said, you know, the mentality of the team to come from behind to do that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And win in dramatic fashion. So he's actually held the side mentality.
But-
And you know, they could have quite easily caved, couldn't they, after that first goal in the manner it was
But
conceded.
for me, in that 9-0, the goal that got to me is that 4th goal where the ball came sailing across. I think it was Chilwell who chipped it in, and Valerie just looked at it, and behind him was it Ayew or whoever it was?
Yeah.
And he come in and he booted it in, and you think to yourself, "Excuse me."
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I'd gone by half time. You know, the whistle went for half time, and I went and hid under the duvet. You know, but I mean, to see that, I mean, you know, we've got a unique experience having been to both games.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, which fan can say that? You know, what a turnaround.
Oh, the thing is as well, if you look at the form table, Saints
yeah.
are actually top of the form table at the moment.
But my favourite thing from that game is it was 78 days between the 2 fixtures, and what a transformation we've even seen during that time.
Yep.
I still have queries over our home form, but it has been one hell of a transformation because I don't think you could have got any lower.
Well, and I think,
to be honest,
to be fair, Mark, I think Ralph Hasenhüttl put it quite well and probably put it the way most Saints fans are feeling about that. It's hard to put into words.
yeah,
To come back after 1 down against such a strong side and turn the table, deserved to turn it because we had so many chances.
Yeah.
Fantastic team performance again today. They left everything on the pitch. We were a little bit unlucky in the first half of Ingsy hitting the bar twice. You could feel we had the potential to win the game at half time.
But
we had Ingsy in the right moment to score. Finally, I think it was a great game. If you concede the first goal against a team who previously scored 9, you have to be very mentally strong to respond.
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
But the
Every
other
single thing he
but
said
the other
there.
thing, you know, from word go, within 2 minutes, I stood there thinking, they're up for it. You
Yeah.
know, this is. I mean, we might be unlucky. We might lose 1 or 2-0, but we're going to lose not because we're the inferior team.
Well, I think.
But, you know,
Yeah, and I think
they
me and
were up
Mark
for
have
it.
spoke about it before, and we've said you can all normally tell from the way a game begins or the tone the players set when they start a game how they're going to perform. You have some sort of an inkling, don't you?
It's true.
You can tell the games are
And
up.
can I pick up on something as well? Not only the displaying of these 9 goals on the big, what a magnificent scoreboard, by the way. You know, but the other thing is, Iheanacho in the local press, some of them said lightning can strike twice. I'm thinking, don't say it, don't say. What motivation? I mean, we didn't need any more, did we?
No.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
But I think that was all fantastic from your own point of view,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
I just hope if we ever do that to any other team, whether it be in the top league or
Stay
whatever,
humble.
we
Yeah.
stay humble about
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, Stuart
I don't
Armstrong
want, I
said-
don't want us doing something like what Leicester done on Saturday, because I think Leicester fans left that stadium feeling a little bit embarrassed. To be fair.
So Stuart Armstrong said they showed their quality. Yep, can't really argue
Yeah.
with that. Danny Ings said, proud of the turnaround.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic. Great news. So I thought that was really, really good, to be fair. So moving on from that, Mark, transfer news and gossip.
Right, okay.
And Martin.
No break then. That's great. No, let's go straight into it, mate.
So the first link we have is obviously talk of Kyle Walker-Peters from Tottenham coming in on loan.
So
6-month loan,
we can all
possibly.
go around the table on this one.
Yep.
So, unlike the reaction from other Saints fans saying the guy's got no experience, blah blah blah, we are talking about one of the better prospects at right back in English football.
Yep.
So I'm encouraged by it. I mean, the fact that Mourinho has said that he can go out on loan, and he has also said that he hasn't ruled out, selling him in the summer.
Yep.
If both parties are interested. So it's a yes for me.
Yeah, I mean, I read something where they
In
were saying...
summing up, I'm just going to say it's a yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Walker-Peters would be a good signing. Regards to Cedric, my take on it was I saw something today saying, should we give him a new deal or let him go? I'd let him go.
Yeah, so would I.
My take on it is I wouldn't have him on loan. I'd take a punt on him because we spoke about it. What if he comes on loan and plays well?
Yep.
Mourinho either has him back or
ups the price.
ups
Yeah,
the price. And to me, and is he worth a punt? How much is he going to cost? 6 million, 7? I don't know.
Well, my point would be if you're going to get him on loan, do that, but get an option to buy on it and make sure you've got fast refusal.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
we've
yeah.
been stung with that before.
Unless they agree a deal
Yep.
in the January, I think you're going to be looking at more than 6 million.
But the thing is, you're dealing with Levy and Mourinho. Hang on a minute. I don't want to say too much, but we all know where I'm going.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah. Well, wouldn't be the first time we've been stung by Tottenham, would it?
No.
Saying that, I mean, I think a few people would argue we've got stung by Danny Ings by Liverpool, but I would argue he's now showing his value, to be
I
fair.
mean, it's a strange
Yeah.
one on that one. As you say, first season you would have said, oh dear, because he was struggling to complete 90 minutes. And
Absolutely.
as we've said in the show before, he went away to America in the summer, did the same regime as what Nathan Redmond had done the previous summer. And it's shown they have paid off for him and paid off for Saints.
So that's the right back situation. Obviously, second link is left back position. Rumours that Saints are eyeing up a sweep for Joe Bryan of Fulham, 7 million rated.
I
Now
thought he
we're
was
obviously led to
also
believe that
right
Saints
back.
won't be spending money. So I'm not quite sure where the 7 million fees are going to come from. We'll see, I guess.
Joe Bryan, I thought he was a right back, but either way, he plays for Fulham. Would I spend 6 million, somewhere around 6-7 million quid to buy him? Simply, no.
No, I agree with that. He's started 24 of Fulham's 27 league games so far in the Championship. I think there are better left backs out there than him for less money.
I've got severe reservations about. I mean, teams get relegated for a reason.
Yep.
They can't defend and they can't score.
Yep.
Now, and if you're part of a team that was dire as a defender, you think to yourself, and I agree with you, Mark, that there must be better defenders out there.
All I would say is...
Even on loan.
If you look at his previous clubs, right, I know there's the temptation because he's English his transfer fee goes up a little bit. But if you look at his career stats, the clubs he's been with, I would say for me it's a no.
Well, the thing is, for me, what worries me is they put these what I call inflated transfer fees on English players, and the point is, how many of these English players actually break through to the England team?
Yeah.
Because my argument is, why are you paying so much for English talent that doesn't even break through to the international
but Joe
team?
Brown, we're not
You've got to
even-
ask the question, haven't you?
Joe Bryan, you're not even talking about, and you're talking about from an international.
Well, greatest
point of view.
respect
This
in the-
guy's never going to.
Well, I was going to say, greatest respect to him. He's probably not even fit to lace up half the boots of half the left backs in the Premier League. To be fair,
I mean,
no
you're
offence to the lad.
you're still talking about a player that plays in the Championship, and before that was playing his trade in League One.
So those are the possible wins that we've got that seem have a little bit of substance to them at the moment. I don't think there's an awful lot of other ins that really got much substance to them.
No.
We've been linked to Joachim Mahler, that doesn't seem to be happening. Marian Pongracic, I think, is probably going to go.
That's why I haven't raised
and
it again.
that's what I'm saying, Mark. That's the reason they've not been included.
I mean, I would have been quite happy to sign Joachim Mahler. And the thing is he fits the bill. He fits the bill in terms of what Saints would want to spend, because you have to be realistic about it. I mean, I think in the transfer news have also included that we missed out on that centre back who was ideal. It was a €10 million quote, and it looks like he's off to Wolfsburg.
Marian Pongracic, I can confirm he is off to Wolfsburg. And to be fair, when I first saw the story and it said he's in talks to leave, I thought, well, he's not coming to us. He's probably going to go to Wolfsburg.
No, exactly.
That's exactly where he's gone.
But
I mean, to be fair, I think there was a fee involved anyway. So
the thing that I get confused with there is, right, I mean, these players here, right, when it was rumoured that we were making a move for him, he'd been on the radar for a while, okay? They've been tracking his progress for the last 3-4 seasons, right? So he's coming in off the back of a serious injury where he hasn't had game time, and obviously they've given him the game time, and then he's on the market at under €10 million.
The thing is, Mark,
we're sitting there thinking that's an ideal. Obviously, they feel it's an ideal replacement, and yet we're not interested in signing.
Well, the interesting thing is that obviously his name's been put out there, but there was an interesting one circulating that Saints were looking at a loan deal for Todibo from Barcelona, centre half from there. Now, my point would be, if they were looking at Todibo on loan, why on earth would they go out and sign Pongracic for whatever the fee was? When they've said there's going to be no money.
No,
I'm going to be honest with you. I understand what you're saying, Mark, but hear what I'm saying for a minute.
Not that I think Todibo would have come in.
The thing is Pongracic for me was more likely, given that he'd been tracked for some time by the club.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
And that was never denied.
No.
That was never denied. The thing is, right, you talk about the guy from Barcelona. My issue with that, and I said to Martin, right, I said, they're being linked with this Jean-Claire. I said, the thing is he's being linked with coming to us on loan, right? And, you got an element of Saints fans out there. They're rubbing their hands going, oh, yeah, let's get him in. He's a Barcelona centre-back, right?
My concern is always...
The guy's 19 years of age. Hang on. I'll let you come back in a minute, right? But let me make this point. We've got a player called Kevin Danzo, who's 20 years of age, who's on loan for the season. Where does that put him in the pecking order if you bring in this Jean-Claire? No, is what I say. No. But anyway, go on ahead. You were going to say.
Well, to be honest, I don't think we're going to bring a centre half in because Ralph seems to have now just closed to the mast. I don't think we're going to bring anyone in. My concern is if we get an injury, we're short in that area, but I still don't think they're going to cover it.
No.
That's the first thing. Secondly, if you're going to go out and sign Pongracic for 10 million or whatever, great. Why on earth would you go out and sign him for 10 million if you're then saying we're trying to get a player in on loan? If you're trying to get a player in on loan ahead of somebody you can sign for 10 million quid, that tells me you're not going to spend any money. And that's what concerns me.
The thing is,
the fact we're not going to spend any money.
Why would you bring in someone on loan when you've already got a centre half who's been brought on loan for
but
the
that's
whole
the
season?
point I'm making as well.
And there's a deal in place to sign him for €10 million.
I'm not debating that.
But the thing is,
that's my point though. They're talking about bringing players in on loan. So clearly they're not going to spend any money. Therefore, it makes more sense to tie up a deal for somebody like Danso who's already there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you remember...
And he hasn't played in his natural position for St. Jack.
No.
Do you remember the fans forum, not the last one, the one before, where I sat right in front of Harsnoodle? I said, why? That was in the summer. But now this is the 6th transfer window. And I said to him, why have you not sorted that defence out? I had a load of waffle. And I'll tell you what, up until, say, 4 or 5 weeks ago, till we went on that run. But like you say, without Danny Ings, that defence is still very, very ropey. And you look at it, but I'm not in favour of getting panic moves in in the winter. But they have this. If we get through, if we do survive this summer, they have got to sort this out once and for all.
Worst case scenario, okay. Jack Stevens gets injured 10 minutes into your next game.
Yeah,
Jan Bednarek gets injured 10 minutes later. What do you do?
What, ring the Samaritans?
You know, what do you do? It's worth pointing the point. What do you do at that point? It could happen.
Oh, yeah.
We've been in this position before where we thought, OK, the club got under control. They're all right in that area. But then you get 2 injuries, boom.
Is that not true around the pitch? But then that's because decisions have been made and Ralph's decided that he wants a smaller squad.
Yeah, I mean,
which is fine.
I do take your point,
It's
Mark,
fine,
but my worry is,
it comes
yes,
back to
okay,
the quality.
We'd have a problem in other areas if we got injuries, but I think we've got enough quantity of players in those areas to get away with it. Centre half, unfortunately, I don't believe it's centre half. Hear me out a sec. I don't believe it's centre half.
No,
right, we've got enough depth there to make up for that.
Mark, you made a mistake there.
Okay.
You've said there's enough quantity there.
Quantity, I didn't say quality.
Last year, I would say we had enough quantity and not enough quality. This year, because they've decided to scale down the size of the squad, and you can see it in numbers this year, right? I would say you've got less quantity than what you had last year, and we're suffering as a degree from that.
But I think, to be honest,
because you're limited in your options.
Where I live, you only have to look at Bournemouth. They've had an awful lot of injuries, and all of a sudden, and that's what it's doing, and it could cost them their Premiership status.
Exactly.
And you look at it now, and you think, do we? Well, we've always sailed very close to the wind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking through the whole team. Left back and right back, we don't really have any cover at the moment as such, so I agree. We're definitely weak there. Definitely weak at centre half. Central midfield, take the main guys out, you're probably a little bit weak there, to be fair, apart from Romeo. Probably not a lot of strength in depth there. Out wide, probably just about get away with it.
Yeah.
Up front, definitely not enough quality. Quantity's there, but not enough quality for me. Shane Long works really hard, doesn't score a lot of goals. Shay Adams needs a goal.
Yeah.
Kind of living off scraps, not really got his confidence there. So there's not really anybody else to step up. So we are a little bit weak there, I think. So anyway, moving on from that, that's obviously the ins and outs.
Just very quickly, and then, we're moving on from the transfers going out. But what I was going to say was, and I do mean this genuinely, okay, we've got 5 players that are out of contract in the summer, right? What the club should be looking at is recruitment of 2 during this window as a minimum, and then 3 in the summer, as well as moving out all the dross.
Well, the thing is, even if
you go back to this idea, and the hierarchy's been given breathing space because of what Ralph and the players have done in terms of on the pitch in the last few weeks, right? Because the bottom line is, you can't say, Martin Simmons, you can't turn around and say to the local media, we're looking to bring in a transfer guru, right? And then all of a sudden there's an upturn in results on the pitch, right? Which leads to the indifferent answer of, well, if something arises, of course we're going to look at it. And that was the standard, I'm sorry, but that was the standard response of the fans for him, to be honest.
The thing is,
anytime he was asked about a centre-back or he was asked about a transfer guru, it was, we'll look at it if an opportunity arises.
But you know what you're saying as well, this upturn in results, in a perverse way, can work against us now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, you're looking at it as... because they've been given an out as far as I'm concerned.
But are we surprised? No.
No.
For me, the most telling thing about lack of ambition, regards to transfers or anything else, was Martin Semmens basically saying, regards to Matt Crocker. Now, I thought the club actually went out and tried to find somebody to take on that role.
Oh, yeah,
it turns
forgot
out from the
about
fans
this.
forum, Matt Crocker actually approached Southampton Football Club about coming back. They didn't go out and contact
They didn't
Matt.
recruit
He
him.
contacted them.
He contacted
Now that tells me there is a lack of ambition
Yeah,
because you haven't gone out to find the best candidate in Europe, as Martin Semmens declared that he was.
That's
Matt
not-
Crocker contacted the club himself and said, "I want to come back."
That is not what Martin Seaman said to the Daily Echo, and I'm going to try and see if I can find the article for a later date.
But no, he did actually say it.
in
Fans
the
forum,
article. He
Matt Crocker
said,
contacted the club.
he said, and I quote, he said, Martin Crocker was the standout candidate from across Europe.
Really?
And I said to you at the time, I said, they couldn't have been looking that hard if it was across
It turns out
Europe.
they didn't look. He actually approached the club about returning.
But the thing is, we'll never be satisfied until we buy Timo Werner, will we?
well, apparently Matt Holland's still having his Saints medical,
No,
and David Story's coming in next week.
But the thing is, this lack of ambition.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's really starting to grate on people now.
Right, the thing is, those 5 players Mark's on about, they're out of contract. Even if they're not great quality, you lose that number of players, that is going to bite you in the backside.
Yeah.
On top of everything else.
Well, then you got no quantity at all, have you?
So, talking about quantity, quality, lack of players leaving, Maya Yoshida's been linked with Trabzonspor, which is a bit of a strange one, but wouldn't surprise me.
I hope, we cover everything on the show,
Yep.
and we're duty bound to do it. But there's no legs in that
No.
story.
No, I agree with that,
at
Mark.
all. It would be. I think it would be a good move for Maya
Yeah.
if it happened, because
Yeah.
clearly he's not going to be figuring in the first team. But
Well, we
don't
know
see
he
it.
won't be going to
Don't-
China because they've put a cap on the wages out there, haven't they? So
I don't see
get
it happening.
Graziano back. I'll hear everyone screaming now.
Don't
Well,
see it
no,
happening.
the thing is, whatever,
Right, anyway.
whatever happens is you cannot run a club on sentimentality.
Absolutely not.
But if at the end of the season he goes, I mean, everybody will wish him well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my
No,
attitude
def-
is, if over the last couple of years where we struggled like mad, if a few more players had his attitude, we might not have been in this mess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all. He's not the most skillful, but he goes with our blessing.
Yeah.
So moving on from there, regards to a player who has got a bit of skill about him. Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield both interested in signing Josh Sims on loan.
Yeah.
They're talking about Sims going out on loan yet again, Mark.
This
What is this
one's-
issue with Josh Sims? What is it stopping him breaking
The
through?
thing is Gary Monk got interviewed recently, and obviously they are interested.
Yep.
So, but I think personally it's a shame for Josh Sims. I think the thing is okay, he may not be getting game time, but he gets on my Saints bench every Saturday
Yep.
because he's an attacking. He's an attacking force at the end of the day, and you need those options on your bench where you're looking at the bench and because I always say a sub's on a bench to change games, especially if you're losing. And obviously he's one of those players where you sort of sit there and you think, he's not. I mean, the first team you'd struggle to put him in there at the minute. To be fair,
Yeah, I mean,
but he
I've
would
just-
be on the bench on a
I
Saturday.
was just reading the article a little bit, and it basically says Hassan has plenty of options ahead of him in the forward areas, so hopefully he can still move away and gain much needed experience. I mean, he's basically got the likes of Stuart Armstrong, Sofiane Boufal, Redmond, and Gineppo, all more experienced and more effective than Sims is at this stage of his career. Which is a shame, really.
You could argue
'Cause he's got quality.
but you could argue an awful lot of players have come in, youngsters, in a struggling team, and you know what? I mean, do the percentages? Managers are not going to risk it, are they? When you've got to get points.
His 2 highlights as a Saints player, I mean, he provided my finest moment of joy on the road
Anfield.
at Anfield, and I mean that genuinely is a standout highlight for me in my Saints supporting career. And the other thing I would say is, let's remember he changed the game round for Tottenham and probably saved the season as a result for us.
Yep.
you know?
Definitely. So, Moe Elianusi. Saints apparently won. Are you ready for this, Mark? Brace yourself.
Yeah.
£9 million they want for Elianusi.
See, the reason why I highlighted this is, right, And I get loads of people saying, "Oh, we spent 16 million on El-Nusi, right?" We didn't spend 16 million on him, right?
Yeah.
And this article bears it out, because the thing is we paid £9 million down.
Yeah, also for anybody
10,
saying how
maybe
much-
10 million, and the other 6 million was add-ons.
I was going to say, everyone who says how much we spent on Mary Elyounoussi and he was a waste of money and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let me cast your mind back to a certain guy by the name of Danny Osvaldo.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember the huge fee we paid for him and how his career panned out?
He scored a lovely goal against City, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's
All
about it.
I'll say is
Jose Fonte's front.
we
seat.
never got to see how good Danny Osvaldo could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a player in there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's a
but-
far better player than he is a rock star, I'll give him that.
But as I'm saying,
Yeah.
the idea that we paid 60, they didn't pay 60 because the club are smart enough. They're looking for the down payment that they paid on him back.
Yep.
And that's why it was included.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Elyounoussi is another one where certain individuals at our club seem to think they could turn water into wine. Yeah.
Well, I just think he's one of those players that I've said to Mark, I maintain to this day, the only way they scouted him was that game against Man City. That's it.
And that was it.
I don't think there was any other scouting other than that, to be fair.
But to be fair, I wish him well. I mean, I've seen a
believe it.
few Celtic games. Him and Forster played well.
Well, I mean, no.
That's
no
if he goes.
Yeah, but in the
That's if
European
he
games,
goes.
I mean, you know.
greatest respect to Elyounoussi, he's found his level, hasn't he, at Celtic?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't wish him ill. You know.
No, he's right, best luck to him, mate.
Yeah.
He moves on and hope he makes a success of it. Anyway, slightly better news. Hassan Hootel, Shay Adams is going nowhere. Well, we kind of knew that anyway, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought, because obviously I've been trying to wind you up this month, right? Right? And it was deliberate on my part, and I do apologise live on air. But obviously I knew from very early doors that Shay Adams wasn't going anywhere. It's been backed up today by further statements from Ralph.
Although, in
saying
fairness,
that
there have
he's
been
not going
conflicting
anywhere,
reports,
so-
haven't there,
Yeah,
to be fair?
But to be honest, he does need a goal to get that confidence going.
Definitely. Well, this is why I said to Mark, playing in the under-23s to do that. So, other news, Wolfsburg obviously tied up a deal for Pongracic, as we know. So that's all been
which
done.
we covered.
So, yeah, we're all covered on that one. That is pretty much it now for the... that's pretty much it for the
So
transfer
we're
news.
staying in the studio.
Yeah, so, that's basically it for that. Now we've got basically our preview of Saints v Wolves.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Mark?
obviously our next game.
Well, I watched the game yesterday, and I'll tell you what, I expected Wolves to win that game, but you know they had a tough game. They've played an awful lot of games now. Yeah, this shouldn't make any difference, but they looked a bit leggy. I'm hoping. I mean, that was Wednesday. You know, they went to Manchester, now back to Wolverhampton, now they're going to Southampton. You know, it's all disruption, and it's the extra couple of % you're looking at. And we've got to make it count.
Yeah.
By the way,
It's going to be a difficult game. Though.
by the way, I hate to show me ignorance here, but and I did listen to a little bit of the game in the second half when it was 0-0.
Yeah.
What did the game finish?
1-0.
1-0. Okay.
But the thing is, you know, and Wolves, they looked, you know, and Man United, they're no great shakes.
No.
But the thing is, you know, they've all of a sudden, but it's all very well talking about it, but I mean, we caught Wolves last year at the right time. They came off the back of a shattering semi-final defeat, and we caught them at the right time. Perhaps we're
Have
catching
we
them
caught them at the right time this time again?
Well, if we have, make it count.
yeah, 100%.
There's no point talking about it if we don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the home games this season, you could argue it's been very fine margins.
Yeah.
Whereas others have been an absolute nightmare.
Well,
but there have been a few games where it's been fine margins, and this is one of those games where it will be fine margins. And like you say, we've got to make it count.
Leicester at home was fine margins, wasn't it?
Well, for the fans watching it, yeah.
Sorry.
There's a fine line between staying and walking out 7-0.
Sorry. What I was going to say just before I touch on the Wolverhampton game for me, but just to let the people out there know that there was a bit of good news during the week because Will Ferry,
Yep.
who I believe will be a good player for Saints,
Absolutely.
he signed a contract extension to 2022.
So, 19 years old.
He came to us via Wigan, I think it was.
Yep.
So, and from what I've seen of him, tricky, pacey little winger.
Yep.
Gets frustrated when he doesn't get the ball, which is always good to see.
He was actually named Academy Young Player of the Year for 2018-19.
last
6 goals,
season.
10 assists.
Yep.
Then got an injury at the start of the season.
Yeah.
So that's obviously why people
But
haven't seen him much.
he is one of the more brighter
Yeah.
sparks.
But the thing I do want to see on Saturday, if he starts, I want to see Redmond start scoring goals, because some of his decision making, you go, oh, why?
Further up the pitch.
Yeah, why? I mean, he's another one. You open the gate, he'd be out. You know, you think, oh, for
Well, the thing is with Redmond, he's great. He picks the ball up, gets to the edge of the 18-yard box, and then kind of goes, yeah.
Now what?
It's gone backwards a little bit for me from last season.
Yeah, I really thought he was going to stride on from last year.
But
he hasn't, sadly.
But hey, I mean, anyway, the Wolves. My preview of Wolves is very simple. There's one man that runs Wolves, and his name's Jordi Mendes, and he is the key to the fact that Wolves get some of the more younger. You know, when we talk about younger and we talk about Saints, you know, we're not the only ones that are looking to go down this route. But the thing is, they have an agent on their on their pay books.
Yep.
You know, because he gets paid for doing it. It's
Yep.
a consultancy thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a win-win for everybody, because he brings over these young Portuguese youngsters,
Yep.
Spanish youngsters,
Right.
and Johnny and that, and they come to show their talents in the Premier League. And the whole idea of the blueprint is to be able to sell them on at good profits. You know,
Yep.
very, very similar to the blueprint that we try to follow. So, you know, is it worth getting an agent in on the books?
Well, yeah, I mean,
but anyway, having said all that, I'm going to say this to you. I agree with Martin. I'm hoping that obviously the fact that they had a game last night, they're going to be leggy come Saturday. I do worry about, because they do have a number of players within that team that do have the technical ability.
Yep.
And it is a little bit, I do think that some of the individual players that they have are a little bit of a cut above. But I'm hoping that, given our work rate, our closing down of the ball, and things, general things that we've seen in the last few weeks, you know, I'm very hopeful that it will be a win. I'm going to say that. I'm going to time my cards.
I think it's a narrow win, but it's going to be a very difficult game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, because I mean they have people that, you know, are workmen-like, good professionals.
Well, you've got two players that really stand out. I mean, Jimenez, the centre forward, obviously stands out, and Den Donker, the Belgian defensive midfielder.
Well, that Neves is not bad.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the other thing is you know, you got to align that to the fact that you got, you know, Cody Copper, is it, or whatever his name is?
Well, the Scouser,
the Scouser, and you know, you would have thought. I mean, by now, I would have thought, given the season that he had last season, you know, because I think that, you know, being called up to England should be performance related.
Yeah.
And I suppose on that basis, I'm saying that Danny Ings should be called up. But having said that, you would have thought that he would have been given an opportunity in one of the friendlies at least.
Yeah.
To sort of show what he's all about, because he deserves the opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I share your reservations about England. I mean, you know, I wouldn't hold it. Of course, he wants to play for England, but you know, this tapping up and he's getting injured, and you know, especially the tapping up business. We just touched on it. Jay Rodriguez in that mass exodus. If he hadn't not got injured, he'd have been off as well.
Yeah.
He'd have gone as well.
He was on the verge of remove, wasn't he?
Yeah.
At the time he got injured, apparently.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So, you know...
I thought we looked after Jay poorly, to be fair, so I wasn't surprised when he left. I thought we... I don't think we stood by him as much as we could have done.
Towards the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the thing is he openly told me, and Lee Mars will back me up because I turned around and was speaking to him, but before a game, and this was like... This must have been about 10 matches to go in the season, even more than that. And he basically came out and said, I'm leaving. But there you go. Anyway, but the Wolves game, obviously...
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
It's going to be difficult.
I'm going to nail my colours to the mast, Mark.
It's going to be close.
I'm going to be quite bold.
3 points.
2-1 Saints, 3 points.
Yeah. I go along.
Well,
with
if we
2-1.
win, if we win tomorrow, then we surely have to make a go at that cup run.
Yep.
We surely have to get a cup run going.
Yeah, I
If
said
we
that
can,
to Mark.
if we can.
I'd like to see Saints have a really good cup run. The only other news we haven't really covered today was Wesley Hoot's comments.
Oh yeah,
Which we'll cover
Let's
briefly before we run
let's
out of time
cover
today.
them. The news might be a bit late, but let's cover them. I'm sorry, right? If you're most footballers, and Martin and I have spoken about this, and I know we sort of disagree to a certain extent because he'll go the manager's route, but you also admitted that you would speak your mind. I would speak my mind, right? So the problem you've got is you have a manager, right, who basically has decided, I'm going to send you on loan to Celta Vigo. You come back, right? You're top of all the fitness pre-fitness tests at the start of the season, right? And then he turns around and says to you, I'm going to give you a second chance, right? To which Wesley Hoyt said, and I think it's fair, given that he hasn't played a competitive game under Hasenhüttl, where he turned around and he said, you haven't even given me a first chance, And obviously, if you're going to answer like that, it's going to get people's backs up, isn't it?
Well, the thing is,
I just sort of think to myself, he's speaking his mind. What's wrong with that?
I think what Ralph's meant when he says that, he said, when Ralph says, I think you deserve a second chance, I think he actually meant you deserve a second chance with the club, not you deserve a second chance under me, because why would he make a statement that's just not untrue? Why would he say to a player, you deserve a second chance under me, if they've not had a first chance?
To be honest,
I think he meant second chance at the club.
I'm the same. I mean, I stand up for myself, but now you've got a situation where you've got a player and the manager clashed.
Yep.
And it don't matter who's in the right or wrong. I mean, Wesley's got to go because the manager is doing a good job, and for the collective, I'm sorry.
I understand all that, but I think to myself, I don't mind that. I'd much rather a player stick up for himself than be a wallflower.
The thing is,
you know what I mean?
I get the point.
That's my attitude.
You can have a player who's mega fit, right? Comes back to pre-season, mega fit, passes every test, top of every test.
He was top of every test.
That means absolutely zero when it comes to what you see on the training ground.
Yeah.
It means zero to what you see in the game.
Hang on. We're going.
I'll take Wesley's point that he came back super fit.
We're talking about the article. We're not talking about.
Right, Wesley did actually allude to the fact in the article. He did actually allude to the fact that how fit he came back as, that he passed all the tests and everything else. But that, for me, no offence to Wesley, those tests mean zero. That counts for nothing when the season starts.
But to be fair, I mean, without this nonsense with Ralph, I would like to have seen him back and given a second chance because I think he's good enough.
Yeah, so would I.
Personally.
Well, me and Mark had this discussion, and then for a while I was kind of leaning towards Wesley Hoot needs to leave. But I did say to Mark, out of the two of them at the time, I would have released Jack Stevens and I would have kept Wesley Hoot. Yeah. I'll probably get slaughtered for that, but at the time I would have done.
On loan, you're not released.
No.
You're sending them out
at the moment, you'd say it's a kind of a touch of the Dejan Lovrens and a touch of the Charlie Austins with Hoot. Yeah. I can understand why he said it, but well,
Dejan Lovren, the best centre half in the world.
He's also not helped himself, Wesley, because he's also come out and said, I think I belong at a higher level.
Oh, go on then.
Well, if you belonged at a higher level, Wesley, you wouldn't be playing for Antwerp, would you?
Yeah.
Anyway, at that point, we're out of time today. We've had a really fantastic show. Martin, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks very much for coming in.
Enjoyed coming in, boys.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. I mean, hopefully you managed to catch all the show. I know we started slightly early at 11 o'clock today, so hopefully it was enjoyable. And we'll see you next week.
We certainly will.